Yes, recording in process. So let's start Mangala Charan together. Om Gana Tamarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshum Lidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tatati Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Shakatatam Sakana Vaganatam Vidam Tam Jivam Sarvetam Sarvatam
Vijandaya Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Bhavam
Shri Radha
Radha Krishna Padangam
Kanala Shivika Vikamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishnu Sri Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhevacha Parinam Varnebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so for how we begin today's session, we'll just do quite a basic. Let's just have a review of what we did 7 days ago, what we did last week, what we covered. Now we haven't quite, Hare Krishna, we haven't quite finished the second chapter, although we've only got 2 more verses to cover. But we get to that, the Puyamanam, which I love, Dishtam, beautiful verse. But last Sunday, go back 7 days in your life and just throw out some things which we covered. You can look at the second chapter if you want. Look at your notes. Also, those online, please, anyone, give us a few pointers. Remember, last week was part 2 of chapter 2. So, the second part of chapter 2. Sorry, I'm looking at the camera again. I could give some clues if it's needed, but let's see. Yeah, Zanga, please, yeah.
We spoke about engaging in devotional service and becoming fixed, being like a yogi, or the yogi withdraws. The yogi's like a tortoise.
Very good, yeah. Yeah, do you remember that, everyone? A yogi becoming like a yogi and withdrawing karma, withdrawing one's senses within the body, so to speak. In other words, being sense control. Yeah. And how is that possible? There's one verse which we mentioned, which mentions how that becomes possible. I give Param Drishtra Navartate. One verse describes like that. Param Drishtra Navartate means? Anyone online? Param Drishtra Navartate means, give another few seconds, by acquiring a higher taste. Remember that? Param Drishtra Navartate. So you can stay fixed. Yeah. Despite what might be going on internally, they have a higher taste. So yeah, so what else? What is the word? Because there's a word we'll be covering today as well, quite a bit, is Nishkam Karma Yoga. What is Nishkam Karma Yoga? Yeah.
your duty without expecting results. Believe in Krishna and convey that he's doing the right thing to you.
Yeah, basically you've got it. One may be attached to a particular type of work, but one's not attached to the results. Yeah. And that's evidenced by one may give the results or some of the results. Remember we had that discussion. Some of the results, 50%. Yeah. But extensively it means we're dedicating the results of our work to Krishna. So that's nishkama karma. So there's some detachment there. Yeah. So sakama means you're attached. Sakam karma yoga. Yeah. Everyone can hear online, okay? Just put your hand. Great, Hare Krishna. So something else from last week.
The eight stages of fall down. That's in contemplation of the senses.
Yeah, there was a progression, if we want. If we want to call it progression, perhaps we call it a digression, going the other way. So quite important, nice verses there. Where does it start? How does it start?
Contemplation of the senses.
Yeah. Contemplating the objects of the senses, then one becomes attached. Yeah, it kind of beds. If you meditate upon the objects of the senses, they bed themselves within your psyche. So you become attached. And what's next? Then what happens next?
Lust and anger.
Yeah, first comes one desire. One is desiring that object of the Hare Krishna, desire. Yeah. And then the nature of this world is that you cannot generally always satisfy your wants or desires. So that leads to anger. Yeah, can lead to anger and frustration. The world is not doing what I want it to do. Just like children, sometimes they get frustrated with their toys and start smashing them. So in the same way, this world, sometimes it doesn't do what we want it to do. And when we want it, so we get angry. So then what comes after that?
Loss of intelligence.
Yeah, intelligence, yeah. Be careful, persons who are lividly angry. Don't go near them. Because they've lost their intelligence. They could do anything, say anything. Yeah. So when someone becomes angry, they forget themselves. And then what happens? Falls down into the material pool. Prabhupada would say, bloop, bloop. You heard that word, bloop? Comes when you put a stone in some water, it goes bloop. Bloop. Yeah. All right, let's pull out one more thing from last week. You can look at your Gitas. Look at the your notes if you took notes.
You spoke about how a man of steady intelligence. Sorry. A man of steady intelligence restrains his senses like Maharaj Ambarish puts all his senses in service of Krishna. Yeah,
and a good example, Prabhupada gave the example of Maharaj Ambarish in the two purports, Savayamana Krishna Pada Vindayo. So that verse of Maharaj Ambarish describes how he used all of his senses in the devotional service to the Lord. His hands, his tongue, his eyes, his ears, and his sense of touch. So therefore, Prabhupada called him in a purport. He is known as a, remember that, what type of devotee? Matpada. Great devotee. Yeah. And what does Krishna say about someone who controls their senses? I made a bit of a thing of it last week. I highlighted the word. Prashadam atikachiti. One gets Krishna's mercy. Yeah. That part's up to us. Krishna's not going to control our senses for us exactly. Hare Krishna, Sebastian. Yeah. So we bring our we learn to control the senses. Yeah. And then we can get Krishna's mercy. Prashadam. Adhikachiti. All right. Hare Krishna, Sebastian. We're gonna put you on the spot. What do you remember from last week? Something. We was in here, yeah. We was here. Chapter 3. Now, have a look at your notes. Share something from your notes. Hare Krishna, Wajan. Welcome. Hare Krishna.
Talking about the different stages of falling down.
Yeah, we just discussed that just before you came in. Yeah, there's those two verses: Kama Krishna, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Raja Guru Samudbhava. Yeah, yeah. All right. Huh?
That's a different.
Is it Kama Esha Krodha? Jaito Visha Pumsam Samgasheshu Patayate. Yeah, yeah. Is there something else?
Yeah, verse 16. Was it verse 16?
Yeah. Good. All right, great. Right. So a little review, a very little review of last week. Now I'm wondering because remember Mother Harini is not with us. So I asked her if she could keep an eye on the self-study questions that come up. So as only volunteers could do that, that means you're in the class, you've got the student handbook, and you've got the self-study question, which comes up with particular verses in purple. Then you just need to highlight, oh, we have a self-study question. Yes, Sebastian, thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
They are on.
Yeah, you see, if you go to the student handbook, and you'll find these self-study questions.
Student handbook.
Yeah, student handbook, self-study. It's on Moodle. Self-study questions for chapters 1 to 6. And then as we come to it, as we're going through the slides, you can just highlight, you know. So quick question again before we get, how's the slokas going? Oh.
Good.
Slokas coming in? Good, great. Well done. Are you sending them in to the Moodle thingy?
I don't know.
All right, we'll have to teach you that. All right, so now I said last week, I'll have to confirm with that, whether you have to learn all the 12 slokas before we finish this module 1 to 6. I don't know whether you have to do that, but I advised it's best you do it. It'll save you, because you put it off, then you've got like 50 slokas to learn in 2 weeks if you leave it to the end. So it's only 12 slokas, you know. So anyway, just some encouragement. And, spend some time with those slokas. All right, so let's get into finishing first.
And when is the end of this module?
Now, yeah,
Somewhere late October.
yeah, next week I'll make this announcement now, and I'll make it again at the end. Next week there's no class. Next week is Snan Yatra. Okay, at the Bhakti. So there won't be no class next week, and we'll put a reminder up on the WhatsApp as well. Next, then a week after that there'll be class, and then the week after that there won't be class because it's Rath Yatra. Okay, so that means you have to add on 2 classes at the end. Okay. Okay, so let's just finish 2 last verses from this chapter. So let's read the Sanskrit together, okay? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Apuyamana umachala patishtam samudrama bhavishanti yadvat tavat kamayam bhavishanti shave shishamtim abnoti nakamakami. And let's read the translation. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like rivers into the ocean, which always remains still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Yeah, isn't that a beautiful verse? Yeah, it's very nicely described, you know. so many desires may come, yeah, especially when we're faced with the objects of the senses everywhere. It's not like an advertising campaign, especially if you live in cities and etc. Yeah, but this verse is very nice. And Prabhupada, I just read from the purple. Prabhupada is more or less paraphrasing the phrase, the verse. It says, although the vast ocean is always filled with water, it is especially during the rainy season being filled with much more water. But the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink, unless there's a tsunami, another situation. This is also true of a person fixed in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So, what does it mean here? I'll pull out something here. What does it mean for this level of transcendentalist? Does it mean that they're free of desire?
They don't pursue the desire. They don't pursue they let the desire flow through them. They just ignore it.
Yeah, in one sense. So it doesn't mean desires may not come in. Yeah.
Also, their main desire is Krishna. So
yeah. So you're able to make this. You start to make some discrimination. And we'll be looking at this word buddhi, yoga. Yeah, by using one's intelligence, you're able to make some discrimination. And then you find that you start to become, if you start to just be the observer of the desires which are coming in by dint of just being in this world, yeah, but you're not becoming enslaved or dictated by the desires, then something very then what happens then? Then you become Shanti Shave. Shanti. Peaceful, yeah. You become peaceful. You don't become victimized, yeah, by the objects of the senses, pulling you everywhere. Look here, look at that, look at this, look at this, look at her, look at him, look at this. Get the idea? Yeah. So, and okay, Avaram Kama, yeah. So he is unwavering. He does not chase after sense gratification. Yeah. So this again, this is Shankya. I'll just highlight this word. Shankya is kind of being discussed here again, and we'll discuss it. It comes up in chapter 3 as we get into that. Okay. So next, then finishing chapter 2. Krishna explains one's determination. Yeah. So let's read this Sanskrit and English together. Okay. Vihaya kaman yatsavam umam charati nishpriyaha nimamo nirahankara shishanti madhikachati. Okay, translation. A person who is giving up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who is giving up all sense of proprietorship, is devoid of all false ego, he alone can achieve real peace. Yeah. Shishantim atikachati. So just read something from Prabhupada's purple. Here, Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction. Well, eventually he will come to that point. Yeah. What Prabhupada is saying here, Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense gratification, but when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself, there was no desire to fight. But for Krishna, the same Arjuna fought to his best ability. So he will, at this stage, he's got some doubts at this stage, but he will come to this stage. Right? And we're going to hear more about these doubts. Yeah. Someone online had something there?
Yeah. The false ego, that's part of the subtle body. So that's the soul's attachment to the material energy, isn't it? Of thinking it's the body. So
yeah, the false ego is the knot, so to speak. because of misidentification, then we identify with the gross and subtle body, if I caught your point. Yeah?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Subtle body. Well, the subtle body is to identify with the body, the
Yeah,
gross
so
body and the material world.
yeah. Arjuna thought real desires and real, is it possible to be free of desire?
No.
We all know that very well. It's not. So we change the nature of our desire. Yeah. Like I want to do something nice for Krishna. I want to distribute 10 big books for Krishna. Yeah? I want to make a garland for Krishna. Yeah. So real desirelessness is desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. And one more little bit here from Prabhupada. This transcendental knowledge is based on self-realization, namely knowing perfectly well that living entity is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna in spiritual identity, and that the eternal position of the living entity is therefore never on the level of Krishna or greater than him. This understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of real peace, so the peace formula. I'm pressing you a bit now, for those who've read the Gita or heard Prabhupada lecturing, what's a favorite verse that Prabhupada quotes when he speaks about the peace formula? Chapter 5. Savadokam Ishwaram Savabhutanam Kanatvam something Vichiti. That was a hard part. The translation. Go on.
The proprietor or
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
proprietor for planets. Yes,
yeah. 520. If you just go to 529, let's see who can get there first on their gadgets. 529. You get extra points. Or anyone online, get there. Who can
A
get there?
person in full consciousness
Thank
of
you.
me, knowing
Knowing
me
me.
to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and a benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Yeah. So no, Krishna's in control. Yeah. All right. Chapter 2. Okay. So you can keep an eye on the chat. If there are any questions, come in the chat. I can see some 6 points there. Whether they're questions or not, I don't know.
What question?
Yes, please.
Which is, we just made the point clearly that you can't get rid of your desires, they'll keep coming, so you dovetail them towards Krishna. If Mayavadis, they don't believe in Krishna, how will they be able to achieve it?
Well, they can't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
they
then
can't.
you should understand.
Yeah, you have to try and persuade them. Yeah. They try all types of things. They to the point, God, to the point Nine just mentioned, what do those on the path of Mayavad do with the flow of desires that come? Yeah. Therefore, it's called vimuktamananas, where they do intense philosophical contemplation and austerities and imagine themselves to be free of any desire. Very hard psychological drilling of the mind. So it's called vimuktamananas. So they managed to obtain some level of equilibrium by the power of their austerity towards the objects of the senses. But at any moment, because these desires are still in their heart, they can fall down. So what's an example, classic example of someone who is engaged in severe austerity? Vishnamitra Muni is one. Huh? No. I give you a clue. He was under the water. No. Two fishes. Subhagri Muni. So he was one such person. He managed to, with the strength of tapasya, to hold the mind on one position and imagine yourselves to be free. You know? But then we know the story, male fish, female fish. He remembered the sensual, yeah, they came up, then it's a long story. He married 50 queens. each had 100 children. You got pretty entangled. You know? All right. Story found in Srimad Bhagavatam. Read that. Okay, everyone okay? We're going to chapter 3. Yeah, Sebastian,
Yes, one
please.
says that,
Microphone.
uh, It's in text 73.
Text 72, yeah?
Then what is the meaning of the phrase Brahma Nirvana Vichati?
Brahma Nibbana Ichati. That's in the Sanskrit itself?
Yeah.
What's it say in a word for word?
Brahman Nirvana Parikshiti. Attain
Brahman Nibbana, yeah.
attain the spiritual kingdom of God.
Yeah,
Enter into the kingdom of God.
yeah. So Sebastian is bringing up a nice point. Brahma Nibbana Richati. The direct Sanskrit doesn't mean go to the kingdom of God. It means Brahman. Brahman is a general definition given to the oneness, organis. But Prabhupada is given the correct, what you call, helping us to understand what is real liberation, which is to go back to the kingdom of God. Yeah, so Prabhupada, Brahman Nibbana. So Prabhupada gives, he will translate it like that. Yeah. The ultimate purpose of Arjuna, so that we do not get lost on the way. He keeps us, Prabhupada in his purports, keeps us clued in to the ultimate direction which Krishna is giving Arjuna. Yeah. Brahman is a word used a lot in Vedic discussion. Yeah. But we know who is the source of Brahman? And Krishna makes that point himself at the end. Yeah, Brahmanam Pratishtaham. That he is the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So okay? Yeah? Okay, so let's have a look. Everyone online, you can hear us, you can see us, everything's okay. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Please feel your part of the discussion. You're welcome to ask any questions that come up. Now then, Hare Krishna. All right. I mean, I was looking at this. I've been looking at this for the last week, and there's different breakdowns you can give of the second chapter. This one is quite detailed, and I would give another breakdown, but I thought I'd just go with the slide here. But it's not irrelevant. It is relevant. So here we go. The acronym is results. And you can see here the breakdown. Okay. Why fight when it's better to abandon fruited work? We'll explain that right off the bat, so to speak. And this is what let's see how far we get today, okay? And you have access to these slides? You getting that on your Moodle? You should get access to these.
The old one or the you place. I don't think this one is there on.
All right, we'll have to get on top of that. Yeah. Now, I think I mentioned last time, if you do manage to get access to these slides, I play around with them a bit and I changed them a bit. Nothing drastic, but I changed them to make it a little bit easier, you know. All right, so this is what we're going to be looking at today. The title of chapter 3 is Karma Yoga. Okay, so quick definition. Let's see where we're at. What does Karma Yoga mean then?
To give up the fruits of one's acts for the Supreme.
Say again.
Give up the fruits of one's actions for the Supreme and work in detachment.
Yeah, that's Nishkam Karma. But I'm looking for a more basic definition of Karma Yoga.
Working on fruitive actions
Working
or fruitive results.
Working for fruitive results, not exactly. It's quite simple, basically. Sebastian? Action, yeah.
Yoga means unified Krishna.
Yoga means, basically, it means bhakti, if you look at it, yeah. So karma then, it means whatever you have got, whatever psychophysical makeup you have got, then you're going to use that in the Lord's service, yoga. You got particular attachments. Yeah. So you'll see how this plays out in this chapter. Okay, this verse 1. Let's read together, okay? Arjuna Vacha Jaisi Chetkamanaste Mata Bhaktim Janardana Tat Kim Karmi And the translation together, Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you wish to engage me in scarcely warfare? You think that intelligence is better than fruitive work. All right. Now this takes some unwrapping a bit. But I just see where we're at with this. What's being said here? Kind of read between the lines. What is Arjuna's doubt?
Arjuna is concerned in killing all his relatives.
Definitely concerned about that.
His intelligence is not taking him to understand why Krishna wants him to fight.
Yeah, that's more objective. I'm looking more specifically at this verse here.
He wants to go and meditate on get jnana yoga, learn control his intelligence towards Krishna rather than actually acting.
Yeah, that's true. But why does he want to do that?
Because he doesn't want to indulge in the bodily activity. But he's thinking of bodily comfort when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, but because Krishna's told him about
infamy and
he's told him about Shankar Yoga. Do you remember about Shankar Yoga, about the details, and he's spoken in the language of a yogi, a Gani. Remember those verses? He's equipoised, he's situated, Stita Pragya, he draws his senses, within it's like the tortoise draws its senses within the shell. So he's used the word, and interesting, the word buddhi is used, it's been used quite a lot. Now, buddhi is not exactly you not get a buddhi yogi. The word buddhi is used in different contexts. Prabhupada here will translate the word buddhi to mean Krishna consciousness. But point making here is that Krishna's confused Arjuna. Because as far as Arjuna is concerned, Krishna's speaking about two things. So he's become confused. Yeah. Because he's speaking about when Krishna's speaking about Shankya. So Arjuna translates that as meditative gyan. Do you follow? But also he's mentioned about fighting. So Arjuna wants to know, what do you want me to do? One or the other? Yeah. So he's wanting some clarification. Do you follow? Yeah. Like here, this is from Prabhupada's Purple. Arjuna thought that Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga, intelligence, which means intelligence in advancement of knowledge, is something like retirement from active life and the practice of penance and austerity. So in other words, he uses the word here, Ghora, which means ghastly. So surely if you're using your intelligence, you avoid this ghastly warfare. You follow? Yeah. If one is using one's intelligence, one will not engage in this ghastly warfare. So Prabhupada mentions, in other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. Because that's, as far as Arjuna's understood, Krishna's mentioned about the path of Shankya and the classical Jnana meditative. Yeah. But then he mentions as a sincere student, he he's asking Krishna for clarification. Yeah. And what's the best course of action? Yeah. So therefore we have, in answer, Lord Krishna, he elaborately explained karma yoga, working Krishna consciousness in this third chapter. So he's going to explain this karma yoga. So you can see where how Arjuna's misunderstood. Someone could just repeat back what's Arjuna misunderstood. Sebastian.
Self-study question. So
Huh?
I was going to ask this because it's one of the self-study questions. So,
Oh, what's the self-study question? Yeah.
yeah.
We have a self-study question. Everyone get ready.
No, that was the question.
Oh.
And I would say that it's not inertia. Prabhupada mentions in the book that you go and you meditate in the mountain, and chant is illusion, but we work in this world. You do it for Krishna.
Yeah. What's the actual wording of the self-study question?
As you just like you said.
Just read it again.
What is Krishna consciousness sometimes misunderstood as?
All right, and then Prabhupada makes it. Yes, okay. So just remember, Arjuna hasn't quite grasped what Krishna's saying. Yeah, he hasn't quite grasped, especially when he started speaking about Shankya. Because the verses depicted the yogi, really the yogi within, meditating, withdrawing the senses. But at the same time, he's asking me to engage in this war. How's the two? He's finding it hard to correlate the both. So then we're going to get the third chapter here, where Krishna's going to clarify to Arjuna. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay for the chat. There's a couple of things there too. Those online, you can also put things in chat if you want any questions. We have someone here tuned into the chat. Okay, let's read. Now, we won't go for the whole chapter like this, reading every verse, because we might not get very far. Let's see. But especially for the first few verses, to get the idea of where we're going in this chapter. Okay, so let's read together verse 2. Vyam Vishneva Vakyena Buddhim Mohaya Shivame Tadekam Vada Nishchaja Yena Shviram Vapunayam. And the translation together. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which is more beneficial for me. So what does equivocal mean?
Ambiguous. Ambiguous.
It means ambiguous, it's not clear. Yeah. So please tell me decisively, what should I do? It's not clear. So I just think this is, yeah. Now, Prabhupada, here, Arjuna again is misunderstanding that karma, work, okay, and Gyan, we described, in chapter 2, aren't compatible. Okay. So he's requesting, please tell me only one thing. Yeah. He's speaking about, I've heard you speak about work, doing more fighting, and I've also heard you speak about Gyan. Yeah. So, because normally to traditional case, someone who's a Gyani, then they're not going to be in a battle. They're going to be, it's another lifestyle. Yeah. When they start speaking about not the body and things like that, then you step away. That's someone who's achieved a certain level of adhikar to step away from duty. Yeah, and this will be described here in the third chapter as well, where actually it's said at this point, Arjuna is not qualified for that. And we'll see that will come up in the third chapter as we continue in the third year. As we continue.
Mentioned a bit probably before with Nishkam, when Krishna spoke about it before.
Yeah.
So we did say Nishkam, and he gave it to him, but maybe didn't get it.
Yeah, Arjuna wants more clarification. Yeah. He still has. So now Prabhupada explains in his purple, I don't know if you can see that, although Krishna has no intention of confusing Arjuna, by any jugglery of words. Yeah. So it's not his intention, but Arjuna could not follow the process of, Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Either by inertia, renunciation, or activity, work. Yeah. So Prabhupada mentions that Arjuna's clearing, his questions about clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So I was listening to one class on this, again given by Purnachandra Maharaj, and he was mentioning that it's not so easy just to engage in Gyan, in philosophy. Like, we're here for 3 hours, no? That's max, no? We want to engage in activity, isn't it? I mean, I guess we're studying because we know it's leading to Krishna. It's Krishna's words. It's enlivening. But we like to be, and we need to be engaged in activity, isn't it? To be engaged in, we could have, if I said we're going to have a 7-hour class today, everyone would be ecstatic. Yeah, so
Please.
Sorry?
Please make it 7 hours.
We can perhaps not. All right. So Krishna will begin answering Arjuna's questions. So in the next 7 verses, he's going to be answered. Yes. This week, I better look out. Krishna comes from Pashad.
I was just thinking about the verse. So like Arjuna is like thinking that previous instructions were not clear. So he's asking very clearly. Ekam vada nishchitya. You
One thing.
Tell me one
thing.
One final decision.
Yeah.
It's very relevant for us also. Sometimes we confuse whether to do this or that.
Yeah.
We approach our gurus to.
Yeah, just be very clear. Yeah, tell me one thing to do. Again, Arjuna thinks Krishna's telling 2 things, but Krishna's telling 1 thing. Yeah, he's going to mix the 2. He's going to mix work and renunciation together. Yeah, and that's what Arjuna hasn't got yet. Yeah, how's that possible?
And Krishna mentioned that before, so one whose path is intelligent, irresolute, then they have many branches.
Yeah, so Arjuna's Bahushaka at the moment. And that's confused him as well, isn't it? You could say that might have confused Arjuna as well, because just be one-pointed, but Krishna told me one-pointed, he told me to do this. So you seem to be glorifying, Gyan, and he's telling me to fight as well. And then you're telling me to be one-pointed. So clarification is needed. Yeah. All right, let's go into text 3. Yeah, let's read together. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Lokeshmin Dvividanishta Pura Brakta Mananaga Kana Yogena Shankyanam Yama Yogena Yoginam. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are 2 classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. Okay. Now let's try and follow this a bit. Okay, now if you go back to the 2nd chapter, text 39, yeah, the Lord explained 2 procedures, Sankhya and Karma. So 239 is, thus I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study, which is Sankhya. We are not the body. Now listen, this is a verse from chapter 2, yeah? Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results, working. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. So he said, I've already explained to you, there are 2 classes of men. So now he's highlighting that again here. So in this verse, the Lord explains the same more clearly. So Sankhya, Dehinosmenyata Dehe, yeah? is generally is for those who are gyanis, those who speculate, they drilling their mind and meditating, it's not about action so much, Now then you got another class of persons who actually work in Krishna consciousness, that was explained in the 61st verse of the second chapter. So you can see Arjuna's confusion. So 61, one who restrains his senses but keeps them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me is known to be a man of steady intelligence. So restraining the senses, keeping them under full control. Arjuna doesn't equate that with fighting in a war. He doesn't. All right.
It's a question which has a meaning also about the meaning of Ekavada.
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 I don't have to look in the Sanskrit.
So
That Ekavada.
by Prachupam. So I didn't mention.
That Ekavada?
Yeah.
Oh, it means just choose one path. Yeah. Eka means one. Vada means path, no?
What means tell me?
Tell me, Tell me one path. Yeah. Arjuna thinks Krishna telling him different paths. Now, Krishna's mentioned, no, I'm telling you one thing.
Then empirical and philosophical, that makes sense, but speculation seems to imply that there is no knowledge, but the Gyanis are trying to get knowledge. It seems counterintuitive.
Well, that's what they do. They speculate. That's the path of the Gyani.
I think the way Prabhupada uses the word speculation is not random guessing, but inference.
Shankya.
We know this, and by that we inference something more.
So that's Shankya. Yeah. Shankya, yeah.
That's the book.
Also here, Prabhupada translate Karma Yoga directly to devotional service.
Yeah. Because ultimately it is. Yeah. Ultimately it is. Well, that's why the persons have issues with Prabhupada, some scholars, I just heard today, I was listening to Purnachandra give class, and he was saying how one person, they came to Prabhupada with a review given by a French scholar on the Bhagavad Gita. And he says he's criticizing your translation, Prabhupada, of Bhagavad Gita, because when it says karma yoga, you put Krishna consciousness. So Baba said, yes, he has understood. That's exactly what I want to do. It's exactly what I'm trying to say. He's the first one to understand. This man is very intelligent. So, yeah. And then Prabhupada says, a very nice statement, Prabhupada says here, in the purple. What is it? You can find it. You can dig it out for us. Have a look in the purple. Text 3. I give you the first word, the first two words, religion without. It's often quoted by devotees.
Religion without philosophy
Yeah, go on. Is
sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation.
mental speculation, yeah. You got that? Interesting, very brilliant Mahavakya from Prabhupada. So, religion without philosophy, yeah. So what's he mean here in context to what we're saying? What is religion?
It's all very well to follow some, practice like chanting Hare Krishna, but if you don't back it up with an understanding of why you're doing it, then it could become just a show, just a trying to be something that you're not. It's like, so you may gain some benefit from simply chanting Hare Krishna, but really you need the understanding of why you are doing that.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. Yes, thank you, sure.
Rituals, like we become ritualistic. We just do actions and
Yeah, you're just doing, that's also very good. You're just doing actions without understanding the reason behind it. Yeah, what's its actual purpose? So therefore it can be seen as sentiment. Yeah. And sometimes some persons brought up in Hindu families, sometimes they have existential crisis. When I ask their parents why they're doing this, the parents go, no idea. They're doing it because grandma does it. Well, what is grandma doing?
Can we not counter that by saying that this transcendental, that Prabhupada says, you don't need to understand the meaning of the Maha Mantra. Even a dog can take part and get the benefit.
Yeah, it can. Slow benefit.
Okay.
Billions of lifetimes, you know. We need to understand what the mantra means. Then our progress will be a little bit faster. Okay. So he says religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism. Then he says the other way around. Well, philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Yeah. That's the point. I should have mentioned that point here. That's why if we just study philosophy, but we don't actually engage in bhakti. If we just do gan, and we don't actually engage in devotional service, it's difficult.
Hard-hearted.
Yeah. Well, though the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is very sweet. So someone could read the purport here, Prabhupada, from the Lord has explained. If you have your Gita there. Let's have someone online. Someone online could read for us Prabhupada's purport. The Lord has explained. We've been quoting from it already, so just can find that.
The Lord has explained also in the 39th verse that by working by the principles of Buddha Yoga or Krishna consciousness, one can be relieved from the bonds of action. And furthermore, there is no flaw in the process. The same principle is more clearly explained in the 61st verse, that this Buddha Yoga is to depend entirely on the Supreme, or more specifically on Krishna. And in this way, all the senses can be brought under control very easily. Therefore, both the yogas are interdependent. As religion and
go on, sorry. Continue.
Oh, okay. Religion without philosophy is sentiment, or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. The ultimate goal is Krishna, because the philosophers who are also sincerely searching after the absolute truth come in the end to Krishna consciousness. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. The whole process is to understand the real position of the self in relation to the super self. The indirect process is philosophical speculation by which gradually one may come to the point of Krishna consciousness, and the other process is directly connecting with everything in Krishna consciousness. Of these two, the path of Krishna consciousness is better because it does not depend on purifying the senses by a philosophical process. Krishna consciousness is itself the purifying process, and by the direct method of devotional service, it is simultaneously easy and sublime.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So any questions from that? We're clear where we are, where we're going, what Arjuna's confusion is, karma, Shankya. Yeah, he wants clarification. Krishna's mentioned, I have mentioned it before.
Sorry, could I ask a question?
Please, yes.
Sorry, I know you've probably said it, but I'm still a bit confused. When the chapter's titled Karma Yoga, does that refer to Krishna consciousness, Niskama, Karma Yoga? Is that the same?
Yes, ultimately it does.
Okay.
Ultimately it does. Karma Yoga, because yoga is bhakti. If you just remember, yoga means bhakti because it means to link with Krishna. Right? So ultimately days we want to come to Nishkam Karma Yoga, where we're not attached to the fruits. Though we may have some attachment to a particular type of work, yet still. That's called Nishkam Karma. Yeah. Which ultimately karma, that's why Karma Yoga is devotional service. Understand? And that's not understood by everyone. Karma Yoga for some is something different. Yeah. Means you're dedicating your work to the Brahman, or you're giving something away, you're doing your karma, but there's no specific worship of the Lord, This is karma yoga.
What is the best way to counter that? When you're speaking to people, it's an issue for a lot of people because they're like, there's three sections, karma, jnana, and bhakti. So if you're mixing up karma with bhakti, then how can you say what you were saying is authorized? I get that from people outside. They're like, oh, we're not favorable with your Gita. And then one has to be qualified to.
But it's in Gita, Kamari Vikadasti, Matkaleshu Kachana. Krishna explains what to do. Just engage your, just steady, yeah? Engage in devotional service to me. Is that a verse? Kamari Vikadasti, Matkaleshu Kachana, Matto Samvastu Kamani. So Krishna is asking those who are attached to their calm, to actually engage in devotional service and to gradually get purified. Yeah. Okay, let's.
Okay, to ask one more
Please,
question related. So when in terms of the karma yoga, so when I'm pretty sure maybe it's Bhakti Vinod called praise that I don't want anything to do with karma and gyan, just bhakti. So is he so in that reference, he's not talking about karma yoga, it's just karma and gyan as a separate from
Yeah, like actually a kinchana bhakti is free of karma and gyan. So ultimately, but for those who may have some attachment, they would engage in a specific type of work for Krishna. Yeah. But then ultimately, devotee will engage in nishkam kam, will engage in akinchana bhakti, which is completely untainted. Yeah. Completely untainted with anything, untainted to one's material conditioning. Yeah, is solely engaged in the activities of bhakti.
So can I just maybe throw something in that might help?
Yeah.
If Arjuna was a painter, and the first question 3.1 is why do you want to involve me in his ghastly paintings? Then Krishna would slowly tell him that actually you're going to be painting for me. That's the ultimate aim of karma yoga. You're going to be doing a painting for me. That's why you're going to paint. Not just go off and think about me, my philosophies about me. I want you to pick up the brush and I want you to paint. Paint for me.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah. And that will become more clear as we go on. Yeah, thank you for that. Anything else? Mm-hmm.
This Harikati Bhakti that you mentioned, is that a karma?
Yeah, there's no reaction. Even in Nishkam Karma, there may be some slight reaction, but not much. Very slight. Yeah, just hearing that today. Yeah, maybe slight, but when it's the heart's completely purified, then I calm. That comes up in chapter 5. Okay. So verse 3. Okay, so we discussed this, yeah? Karma or Gyan. Yeah. So I actually mentioned that the karma and the Gyani, they're kind of different, but in name only. Yeah. In other words, the person engaged in karma, they become pure-hearted. Yeah. Gyanis by the actions. So in other words, Gyanis become liberated by linking their inquisitive nature to bhakti. The same as the karmis. Yeah. Same with those who are attached. If you link it to Krishna, yoga, become purified. Yeah. But then Krishna, it depends on one's qualification. And what will come out here is that Krishna will engage Arjuna according to his qualification. So he's not qualified to engage in meditation. He is in one sense, but he's showing by example. Yeah. So it depends on one's, here it's mentioned, faith or purity of heart. One is recommended to act either on the platform of karma, activity, or gyan, philosophical speculation, or philosophical inquiry. You follow? Just like someone joins a temple, we could say, okay, so you chant 64 rounds every day. May not be qualified for that. So engage in action for Krishna. Keep yourself busy in Krishna service. Yeah. In a few years, you might be, be able to study 8 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, or whatever, or like that, you know. So for now, what you're qualified is this.
So it's hierarchical, not in terms of adhikar.
Yeah, but also it should be understood that it comes to the point where a devotee, regardless, will do anything for Krishna. This is the kinship of bhakti. Yeah. So one's heart is cleansed, one can sit down, like Prabhupada could have stayed in Vrindavan. Yeah, just be absorbed in Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, chanting Maha Mantra 64 rounds a day and just lost in the ocean of bhakti. But he came and did activity, which is bhakti yoga. Yeah. So someone at that level can move in can do anything. But they're engaged how Krishna empowers them. Yeah. But for us, good for us to take our conditioned nature, understand what it is, and engage in the Lord's service. That's what he's asking Arjuna to do.
It's like a deck of cards, but it's stacked on top of each other, or they're all flat across, and it's a case of you do one at a time.
Yeah, you do what you're qualified for. Yeah, what's your adhikar? What's your qualification? Yeah. So like here, okay, we covered this. Arjuna's misunderstood thinking work and renunciation. Yeah, work of Shankar and karma as two processes going in different directions. This is what he thinks. Yeah. So the karma stage is where the platform where work is recommended. Jnana is a stage where one is sufficiently purified to renounce work. This was Arjuna is misunderstood that karma, work, and gyan are incompatible. You can't put the two together. But Krishna is saying, no, they're not separate paths. They're both rungs on the yoga ladder, according to your qualification. So in other words, one must act in a detached way with knowledge of Sastra. One must act in a detached way with knowledge of Sastra, and then one can rise to real knowledge, Divya Gyan. Yeah. I'll just read this bit here. The process of Krishna consciousness, Buddhi Yoga, or Karma Yoga, what it says, okay, is to act on the platform of one's spiritual connection with the super soul. They are both two parts of the same path. Okay? Krishna consciousness is superior, it's more practical. Right, now let's go to the next. Now I think what's this slide here? Yeah. So here's the yoga ladder. Now, just keep this in mind. We'll be visiting this throughout the rest of this chapter, and also in other places in Bhagavad Gita. As Nayan put, this is like approaching from a hierarchical, step-by-step process. So I have Vikarma. Anyone know what Vikarma is? Yeah, just no regards to any spiritual injunctions, nothing, no, it's more like animal life, you know. So Vikarma. Then you got karma. What does it mean by here? Karma, yoga ladder? You're on the spot. Pious people, yeah.
I think that would be karma kind.
Yeah, they're similar. Karma, karma, gana. Karma here is pious people, but they're pious, but they're doing sinful activities. They have no concept of God. Yeah. It gives that breakdown here. But then karma kanda is they're practicing Vedic rituals to obtain sense gratification. Remember that was mentioned in chapter 2. After, yeah. Then Sakam Kam, we discussed that. Sakam Kama Yoga is you're attached, isn't it? Then nishkam, you're detached. Then that purified action will bring you to the level of jnana. They're the Ashtangas here, meditation on the Lord. Then that will bring, hopefully that will, does bring one to bhakti, complete, where you engaging in the Lord's loving devotional service. Yeah.
Spelling mistake. Nishkarma karma.
Yeah, that's how it was written, Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Nishkama.
Oh,
Like
Nishkama, okay, oh yeah, Nishkama. No R. Nishkama, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just
Yeah, please.
quick question. So if I was to define Sakama Karma Yoga, is that right? Would it be right to say I'm attached to the fruits of bhakti?
No, you're attached to the fruits of your, you're attached to the fruits of your work.
Okay.
You're doing it so you can get something. You're attached to the type of work and to the fruits of work.
Right.
Yeah? Come.
Okay.
Like someone may come to the temple and they may offer to do some work for the temple. Maybe pious, so they come to offer some work and then they want to get paid. Okay, they may need it because that's their situation. So that they can come do devotional service, but they want something in return. Yeah. Someone else may come and I just want to do some service, whatever may come on, I'm not bothered. So they're detached from the fruits, Okay.
Yes.
Just keep this in mind. You got it. Okay, let's read. Yeah.
Why is Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga higher than Nishkam Karma Yoga?
Yeah, because this is the classic development according to one's purity of heart, where going through the yoga ladder, you could say the staircase, gradually one's heart gets purified. Yeah, by giving the fruits of one's work away. So that leads to purification. So that leads to knowledge. So that purity of heart and knowledge leads one the ability to engage in meditation upon the Lord. Yeah. So for that, one may follow the process of Ashtanga as given in chapter 6. Yeah. It takes qualification to actually do that. Arjuna wants to do that, but Krishna's telling him he's not qualified to do that. Yeah. So Ashtanga, so that's why it's mentioned in what you call the classic outline of the yoga ladder, Ashtanga, where one heart has become purified by working in it. One's attached to work, but one starts to be detached from the fruits. Then from giving, then one becomes purified in the heart. Then one may be qualified to let go of work itself and just engage in meditative trance upon the superstore. So someone may not be, Arjuna at this point is not qualified, at least from an external point of view. It's okay? Is that correct, Prachur? You have to keep me on path.
One has to have jnana before they can come to Ashtanga.
Yeah, it definitely helps. You have to be in knowledge. Yeah. So Ashtanga is what is then Krishna confirms who's the highest yogi. Yogi Nama Atmana Shradha. So that's the highest yogi. They're practicing jnana, they're practicing everything they're practicing. Yeah. Okay, let's edge on.
Hare Krishna, Murli Prabhu.
Oh yes, sorry, please.
Sorry, can I just ask one more question? Does the ladder correspond to the different stages of, I think it's devotional service, where it's initially faith, then it's like being fixed in one's devotional service?
Yeah, now when it comes to when someone takes directly, so this is the yoga ladder, okay? But say if someone comes directly to bhakti, which I think most of us have. We haven't gone through different schools. All right, so we've taken directly to Krishna consciousness, yeah. But you'll find, even though we've taken directly to the process of quote unquote pure devotional service, we may still go through these different stages in our development of pure devotion. Yeah. So one may be attached to doing a specific type of service, although it's devotional service, So there be comparison there, that they're attached, so they're quite sakam. Although it's ultimately devotional service and they're getting purified. But then then they're willing to do whatever may be asked of one, So there is you could say, there is a development from the stages of Shraddha up until through, Nishta, Bhava, Shakti, and then Prema. There is the devotees going through a different elevation according to their purity of heart. So they may be, their inner reason for engaging in acts of devotion should become purified as they're going through the different stages. So it still goes on for someone who takes directly to bhakti. Right? So someone comes in, they don't come in at a chincha, a kinchana bhakti. We have to get purified. We get purified through the process of devotional service, which is bhakti in one sense. So devotional service has this development. Yeah, we all follow? Did that answer the question, Pooh?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so let's read text 4. We're doing well. We've only done 4 texts. Now, the second part of this class will go a bit quicker, but this is important to understand these first few verses. So now it's okay. So let's read this together. Nakamanamana naishkamyam purusho note nachat sanyashana deva sadim samdikachati. So, translation, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So what's he saying here? Yeah, well, you can speak into the microphone.
You have to do both.
You have to do both, not just by one, not just by the other. So I'm going to tell you how to do both. Yeah? Prabhupada says in the purple, the renounced order of life, Gani, we say tradition, Gani, can be accepted when one has been purified by prescribed duties. Yeah? And they're there to purify the heart of those who are materialistic. Okay? So then Prabhupada says, without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order.
What's the difference between the two sentences, the first line and the second line?
Same, yeah. The renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified. Oh, you're speaking about the verse?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking about what I just said. Yeah, someone could explain, not by merely abstaining from work. What does that mean?
So Lord is saying that don't think that if you stop acting, you will stop reactions. And don't think that if you renounce, that is perfection. You need to have both. You act with renunciation.
Yeah. I think it comes out later. So if Arjuna tries to renounce and he's not qualified, then he's just going to start a fight in the ashram. That's his nature. He's a Kshatriya, so he's gonna, this is my ashram. I control this. Yeah, so he's not, this is my bed.
Not working and renunciation, are they the same things?
Yeah, that's just, yeah, that's it, yeah. Not by, so the other one, and nor by renunciation alone can one obtain perfection. You have to purify your heart. That was saying it? Not by renunciation alone. Like here, let's read this. Without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord, this is a point I was mentioning in the question I just answered. If someone takes to devotional service of the Lord without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance is the cause, in the cause is accepted by the Lord, Buddhi Yoga. Even a slight performance of such principles enables one to overcome great difficulties. Right? So you can take directly to the process of devotional service. Now, from text 4 to 9, Krishna describes the active nature of the soul. The active nature of the soul, which means that inactivity is not an option. Yeah, the soul by nature has to be engaged. Yeah. So therefore, in other words, one's activity should be directed towards activities that purify one, yeah, and raise one to self-realization. Yeah. So that's the purpose of prescribed duties. Yeah, purifying. Yeah, purify their heart. You would do it regardless because it's a duty, and that will purify your heart. What happens today when things get difficult? People tend to give it up, no?
Yeah.
Run away.
I'm away.
Run away.
Run away, yeah. Run away. But it should, yeah, if there's a difficult, for instance, someone is, in a family situation, it's a bit difficult. Oh, God, it's so difficult dealing with this, dealing with that. I'm out of here. You know? Well, what will come if the person just, no, this is my duty. I'm married. This is my situation. This is, there's going to be difficulty. Let me just do my duty. What will that person will come out with wisdom. That person will come out a mature human being. When persons renege their duties, they don't become wise. That duty is good for people to stick to one duty. If you just turn around on your duties, you become life. You're just living on the kind of a very whimsical, pointless life. Yeah, human life is meant for doing your duty, learning from it, because then you'll learn. Then you learn to be tolerant. Yeah, in happiness and distress. You know?
So it's not just morals, probably. It's the case that if you don't do it, then you'll incur sin, from what you're saying before, because then you're not following your path.
Yeah, then you're gonna then there's reaction. If you renege your God-given duties to maintain family, for example, and you turn around and you turn away from that, there's reaction for that. It'd be a big cloud will just float in your psyche, until then you in your next life. So anyway.
Murli Prabhu, can I just
Yes.
share an observation?
Please, yeah.
So I heard somebody speaking in the news this week on the radio, and this person was talking about politics, and she said, look, she's talking about ordinary mundane life. She's saying that the rich are getting richer, the lazy are getting lazier, and in the middle, all the working classes are struggling. Now, if I compare that to spiritual life or Bhakti Yoga and the Bhagavad Gita, there are people that are working spiritually, but for the actions of the work, there are people who are trying to abstain from work and just meditate. And in the middle somewhere, there's Bhakti Yoga, which is us people trying to work with detachment from the results of the work and handing the results over to Krishna, working for Krishna, which gives, as opposed to working classes, everybody struggling, gives us the potential for absolute success of life and freedom from miseries.
Nicely said. Very nice commentary. You should have phoned in. Should have phoned in and give that commentary.
Yes.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, I know you know, I know friends who have been married many years, you know, 30 years or so, and they've done their duty. You know, there's nothing which material energy can throw at them that's going to make them. They've been through it all, and they've done it. They brought up the kids, they brought up the thing, and they're solid. You know, they purified themselves. You know, so anyway, here, so Krishna describes, so the next text 4 to 9, inactivity is not an option, okay? One's activities, so therefore you have to direct your activities in such a way that you're going to get purified. Yeah. So that's the purpose of prescribed duties. You got to get purified, Prabhu. Come on. Do your duty. You know? Yeah, then you come out free of attachment. Okay, so let's go into text 5. Okay. And now here, okay. Oh, there's one of our students. She just opened the door, Mother Lisa. She probably. Okay, let's read together. Text 5. Here's one of our students. She's obviously busy with the family hati. Okay, text 5. Let's read together. Nahi kaskit krishnamapi yato tishtati kamakrit kaideya vishakama shava prakriti jai gunai. Translation. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Okay? Prabhupada says, it is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. Yeah, so the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, one will be dictated by the illusory energy. Yeah. Yeah, here, chapter 2, just read this part here. Krishna told Arjuna, Kamani Vidikaraste Matvaleshu Katachanaha, that he's adhikar on the yoga ladder. I mentioned it again, is not renunciation. In the yoga ladder, his qualification is not for renunciation. You gotta engage in this war. It's his work. Yeah. Action. Yeah.
So Nishkam at best.
Yeah. Nishkam. Yeah. Okay, let's read the next. What's the time? 54. Let's read next verse 6. Okay, 6. Let's read together. Kamindriyani samyamya resti manase smaram indriyani viruddhatma vitacha suchate. One who restrains the senses of action, but his mind dwells upon the senses, certainly loses himself and is called a pretender. Yeah. So if you try to renounce without qualification, you'll still be meditating upon the objects of the senses because your heart is not pure. Yeah. So one would delude himself and think that I'm a renunciate. I think here Prabhupada says in this purple, he speaks about better be a. Can look in the purple. You see here Prabhupada speaks about being better be an honest sweeper. Yeah. Is it there? Perhaps it, well, it might be in the next purple.
Yeah, next one.
Next one, okay. What does it say exactly? Read it loud.
Here, spiritual and spirit is not aspect of pardon, meditates and meditates only for the sake of being a living.
Yeah. So let's.
Only for the sake of being. I don't know the last bit.
Yeah, read it again.
A sincere spiritual in the street is far better than the charter meditator who meditates only for the sake of being a living.
Yeah, like charlatan meditator. Yeah. You see people, sometimes see people in India, sometimes it's they wear saffron because they get donations, no? Yeah. They sit down and put saffron on, you know?
Bidi Baba.
Yeah.
There is one story Raghunath Maharaj writes in the journey book that he stands in line to meet a sadhu. And sadhu asks him that, hey, you are American, what are you doing here? I'm doing this so that I can get enough money to go to America.
Yeah. He says it in English. He says it in English to him because no one else can understand. Everyone's understanding it. He says it in English.
Buddha Chandra tells you on story here where he was in Gujarat preaching and was going house to house, not door to door. And now he was brahmachari and devotee was brahmachari as well. And there was this phenomenon that would happen is they would come on the door, they would knock on the door, and people would look through the window to see them. They would close the window, pull the curtains, and you hear the door bolt from inside. They lock the door. So he's curious, why do you reckon like that? So the local devotee explained, well, there's a habit that some persons will dress as sadhus, dress in saffron. They go knock on their house. The people will be obliged to invite them in the house, and offer them some drink, something like that. Then while these so-called sadhus are in the house, they're casing the joint. They're seeing what's in the house, Electric. Then they will gauge a conversation. Oh, when you go on, you should, I go on a holiday sometime? So we'll be going away to see our parents or our relatives to here in 2 weeks' time. So but then you look familiar with this. So then they will rob the place. So they shut. So sometimes you see they have, you used to know the scene in India. They have as many gods as possible in their temporary altar. Because if you're walking past and you see your god, you give rupee. They even have Jesus there. They have Gandhi, everyone there. So that because all people have different worshipful deities, So there's my god.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah. Then they get money. They go buy bidi. So hopefully, ISKCON is making strides in changing that conception. I hope. I think to some degree it is, but still, it's quite low. Yeah, there's some going on. Let's stop here on this last point, then we'll take a break. Yeah, I remember I was in, you can see the difference in sadhus when I was at Govardhan. In one sense, doing Govardhan, so those sadhus, but you can see those who are real sadhus, so to speak, those or not. Those or not tend to get, because they do anything, eat anything, and they have no regulation, they have no purpose. They get haunted by ghosts. You see their hair, they haven't washed for months and months. Their hair is out in there, a bit mad, and you see they're a bit mad and in their disposition. But then you see real sadhus who are really can sell. They're real sadhu. They're really got this aura about them, And they're not so bothered whether you give a donation or not. They don't give a hoot. They're just doing their sadhana, they're doing their bhajan. If money comes, but then you got others who you can see. Anyway, you get the idea. Okay.
You can't cheat the bread busters because they know they're saying that the real stars are doing Madhukari. And the ones that are just coming for the vitran, for the free food, we don't mind them, we'll give it to them. Provide, but we know who's who.
Yeah. Everyone people go to the holy dams and they give everyone food regardless, That's great as well. Okay, let's stop there 15 minutes and come back 12:16 because it's 12:01. Very good. Those are not good in progress. Okay. So, a self-study person, not here, but there's a study question here. Okay, here. Excuse me, I happen to see in the chat. Yeah, self-study question. What does the word mitacharya mean?
A pretender.
You got it, pretender. Yeah, so that we just spoke about that. Yeah, mitacharya. So better be situated in your own natural occupational duty than try to artificially take up a path which you're not qualified for. Yeah, you don't have the qualification for. Yeah. So, yeah, says here, the Sanskrit word for false actor is mitacharya. Yeah. So mitya means false. So acharya means your activities, you know, the founder, acharya. So your activities, just need to close that. Excuse me, we have some sound issues here. Close the door. Let's close the door. So in other words, your activities will not match your renounced dress. Okay. And you'll be called a mitacharya. So self-study question. Mitacharya. Yeah. That means one won't get the Lord's mercy. Yeah. So how do we know how can we be sure what's our adhikar, what's our specific qualifications to a specific activity? Yeah, Sadhu Sastri Guru. You can speak Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru. Yeah. Guru Raj, I'm thinking of doing this. Guru Raj, I'm thinking of doing that. And he may say, yes, so you say, you nonsense. Just do what your temple president's saying. But sometimes we get, anyone had experience, we get the wrong things in your mind and you're going in the wrong direction. You become inspired somewhere. I've had that experience in spiritual life. Get inspired in a certain way and all these ideas about doing it, but then when it really comes down to it, actually perhaps it's best not for me. It's not I don't have the adhikar, it's not for me right now. So it is an important point here. It's illustrated here.
Is that sakarma? Because if you're, I could be wrong, but if you're on nishkarma, then you're just doing a prescribed duty, then Guru Maharaj will come and say, please, you go do this. But if you go and ask, you have some attachment.
Yes, generally that is the best way. Generally, it's good to be asked, but it doesn't mean if you're feeling inspired, you should not go. It may be may be good for you. Maybe the Lord's inspiring you within the heart to a particular type of service, but you want to just speak with Vaishnavas, speak with devotees. Do you think this is the right direction for me? Yeah. One's qualification. Yeah. I guess. Okay, everyone online, you're with us? Hare Krishna. You can hear me okay? Microphone is still working? Yeah, okay. So next, Krishna's going to make a comparison here now with a mitacharya and someone who is a householder, but they're detached. Yeah, so he's going to give. So let's read this verse 7. Okay, together. Yashtu Indiani Manasa Niyamrihabhite Arjuna Kamendriya Kama Yogam Shakta Sarvasishyate. Translation. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind, in his karma yoga, in Krishna consciousness, without detachment, he is by far superior. Yeah. So here Krishna is speaking about how he's glorifying the system of Varna and Ashram. He's specifically glorifying here the Grihastha Ashram. Yeah. As a means of purifying one's heart, you know. Yeah. Better than artificially take up the position of a sannyasi. Better act according to what's natural for you and get purified. Yeah. So Prabhupada says here, instead of becoming a pseudo-transcendentalist for the sake of wanting living and sense enjoyment, we discussed that. It is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life, which is to get free from material bondage and enter in the kingdom of God. Yeah. A householder can also reach this destination by regulative service in Krishna consciousness. For self-realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Sastri and continue carrying out his business, but nishkam, without attachment. And in that way, one will make progress. Yeah. Then Prabhupada says here, finally, the point, the quote we mentioned before, a sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than a false pretender who adopts, Prabhupada says, show bottle spiritualism, which just cheats innocent people, you know. And he says that a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. Okay. Okay, let's go to text 8. Let's read this together. Text 8. Niyatu kada kamatvam kamajayo hiya kamanaha shaniya yajribabhijate aprishayita kamanaha. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain a physical body without work. Yeah. So he's telling Arjuna, you have adhikar for karma. So your adhikar for karma is better than renunciation. Yeah. So you're not on the platform, which you can walk, or you can renege your duties as a kshatriya. Yeah. At some point in Arjuna's life, there is a stage where he should leave everything behind. And that comes later on, isn't it? When all the Pandavas leave everything behind. But at this stage, it's not needed, it's not required, and it's not natural for him. Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Murli. Sorry, just a question
Please,
quickly.
Yeah.
Is it that adhikar is like the spiritual currency, or
It's qualification.
could you-
Another word. You could say adhikar, you could say spiritual currency. That's another way of describing it.
So it's just like how you're qualified for certain
Yeah,
tasks and
basically that.
occupations.
Yeah.
What is it?
Thank you.
Not nature.
Qualification. Adhikar means qualification. Yeah. Like if I give an example from experience, if someone, young man joins a brahmachari ashram, if they say, I want to take sannyas next year, sorry, not qualified. If they say, I want to get married, say, sorry, not qualified. You got to get purified. You become, before you get married, you've got to become a Vaishnava. We want to train you to be a Vaishnava. You can't take sannyas next year, I'm afraid. You have to get purified. Yeah, go and wash the pots. Get purified.
Application denied.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Moving a bit, flowing through the verses a bit more quicker now. Not too quick. We don't want to miss anything. But here's this verse here. Let's read together. Yagnata kamano natra logo yam kama bandana tadatam kama kumdaya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction And in that way, you always remain free from bondage. Yeah. So this is text 9. 3 to 8, again, we're speaking about Nishkam Karma. So working again with both knowledge and detachment, okay? So it combines karma and gyan together. So in other words, Nishkam Karma, we're active, but we're active in a detached way. Yeah. Higher, a step higher is this verse. Yeah. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Yeah, is devotion. Yeah. Although one may still have some attachments because you're doing your particular work. So higher is this text. Yeah. Now, when one's knowledge increases to include knowledge of the Lord, of Vishnu, then one's Nishkam is offered with more devotion. So that Nishkam leads to Bhakti. Understand? Well, as you're doing Nishkam, you're becoming more aware of Krishna, more aware of Vishnu. So then that's leading you to Bhakti. Yeah. I say this because Nishkam may be practiced without knowledge of Krishna, without knowledge of Vishnu. Yeah? Nishkam Karma. But this is someone who's practicing Nishkam Karma, but they have knowledge of Vishnu. That will bring them to devotion. Yeah? Knowledge of the Lord. Devotion. Yeah. Okay, text 10.
There's one question.
Yeah, keep an eye on so. Yeah.
Which is what does Tat Artam Karma Kaunteya Mukta Sangha?
Okay, what does it mean? It should find the answer.
It says that it means for the sake.
It's very specific what the answer is. Say the question again.
Perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction.
That's what it is, yeah.
And that where you will always remain free from bondage.
Yeah. Right, we've got that. Everyone online, you've got a self-study question here, which is in relationship to text 9. And the answer's right there in the purple. Okay. Or is it asking for the translation from the word to word? What's the question again, Sebastian? Be clear.
So the question is what is Tat Artam Karma Kaunteya Mukta Sangha mean?
Okay, so that you'll find that in the translation, the word to word to the verse. Or is it, does Prabhupada specifically mention it in the purple? I don't have the purple here. It's a long purple. Perhaps I get these ready before, it takes time.
So Prabhupada says that therefore one is to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other word in this material world
Oh, you need the microphone?
will be a cause of
Needs the microphone? Needs the microphone.
So yeah. So
Okay, got it. Hare Krishna. Okay, text 10 to 19. Right, now we're going to come, we've been speaking about Nishkam Karma. Now we're going to come down. Yeah. We're going to come down a few levels, and Krishna's going to take us from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. Okay. So in other words, what if someone is too attached and they can't do Nishkam Karma Yoga? Yeah. Yeah, they can't do Nishkam Karma Yoga. So here, let's read together. Sahayakna Pachashritva Puruvacha Pachapatihi Anena Patishtavyam Ekashvosta Kamatuk. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and bless them by saying, Bazal, happy by this yagna sacrifice. Because this performance was bestowed on you, everything desired for living happily, achieving liberation. All right, so go back to that yoga ladder, if you can remember it. So he's beginning with the lowest rung, or one up, Karma Kanda. Yeah. Previously, Krishna, that one should not renounce activity, but should perform prescribed activities, but in a detached way. Yeah. So that's what those are not qualified for that. At least satisfy your desires in a religious way. Yeah. So I'll just read this. Now he will explain the course of action for those who are not yet at the stage of Nishkam Kam. But they wish to attain it. Yeah. By satisfying their material desires, but in a religious way, in a dharmic way. Yeah. And that would be purified. Yeah. So here, if you cannot be desireless in actions, then you should still perform actions to Vishnu with desire. So karma moksha, what's that word? Karma moksha, karma udara. What's the verse? Karma, what's the verse? Bhagavatam describes whether you're full of desires or you have no desires, you should incorporate devotional service to the Lord in your Savakama. Yeah?
Savakama.
No, not Savakama. Karma Shava Mokshava Karma Tivrina Tivrina Karma. So
Which canto is that one?
that's it. Yeah. Right, we follow so far. So Karma Kanda. Okay. Let's look at text 11. You got it?
Second, sorry. Akama Savakamo
Mokshakama Udadidi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeti Purusham Param. And read the translation with the microphone.
Person who has broad intelligence where they can be full of all material desires without any material desires or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of God.
Okay. Now let's read this together. Devan Bhavayatane Nata Deva Bhavayantava Parashparam Bhavayanta Shaya Paramavapshasi. Upshatatiyat. Translation. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifice, will also please you. Thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. All right. So previously in chapter 2, Prabhupada, Krishna criticized those who worship the demigods for means of attaining higher planets, etc. Karma Kanda. But now he's describing the path from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. So it does play a role for those who are very attached. Yeah, for those who are still very, very attached. Then some could read this from the purple. Here it's on the slide there. Prabhupada gives a Krishna conscious perspective. Very important.
By performance of yajna, one's eatables become sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. When the memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation, and all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great success, the great necessity of present-day society.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So Prabhupada's giving some very wonderful points in his purports here about the practical application of Krishna consciousness, as well as we're looking at the yoga ladder. Prabhupada's giving us very good instructions here. Yeah. By forms of yagna, one's eatables become purified. So eating prasadam, yeah. So one's fine tissues in the memory become sanctified. Then one can think about Krishna. Yeah? And this leads to Krishna consciousness. Okay.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Verse 12. Now, if you don't do that, here, let's read this one. Istambo ganifo devo tasyante yagna bhavata in charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the forms of yagnas, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Okay? So as the thief is punished by the state, yeah. Let's read from Prabhupada's purport here. Some could read, one should know, however. It says, perhaps have someone here on site could read. Go ahead, Mom.
One should know.
Microphone. Microphone.
One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, meat, sugar, etc., for the persons in the world of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians, like meats. None of it can be affected by men. Then again, take for example, heat, light, outdoor air, etc. These are also necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by the human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc. Without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence.
Okay. So this is what people are generally not aware of, that everything is being supplied by the Lord. So there'd be a sense of gratitude, yeah? Thanks and gratitude. The food we have, the air we breathe, everything is being supplied to us by the Lord. So to engage in a devotional life means to be grateful for that. Yeah, you don't just take it for granted, you know? At some point it may all be taken away. Yeah? So everything is being supplied by the Lord. You know? I think the next verse describes that therefore devotee is it next one? Shanta. Let's read this one, verse 13. Yakna shishashano shanto mujjante shavakyo vishai punjilo gadatam papa ye patanti makarana. The devotees of the Lord to release from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Yeah. And Prabhupada, he plays on this word Shanta. Yeah. Santa Claus. The real Santas are the devotees. He says the Shantas, yeah, being always in the compact of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the giver of all pleasures, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all-attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yagnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Parasevanam, Achanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. So these performance of these yagnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination and sinful association in this world. Okay? It's quite a strong statement, actually, if you think. If someone to do anything in this world without offering it to Krishna, there's a concomitant reaction. Because we should be grateful. We should offer. Now, the way you do your offering, it may be different. It may be on the altar, we do it quite elaborately. You have to be in a certain clean state. You have to say certain mantras. And you might not have that opportunity if you're taking lunch at work. What do? You can say a prayer to yourself. Should be vegetarian. My Lord, please accept this. Yeah. But just to be conscious before we eating food, for example, here, that it's been supplied and it's coming from Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, so even if someone eats an ice cream, it's not been offered to Krishna. It's a simple act. Yeah, of course, there's different degrees, but yeah. So offering means we're appreciating where it's come from. Yeah. Krishna doesn't need it, but we're appreciating his role in a whole cosmic manifestation of giving us this body, our life airs, and everything that's in this world. Yeah, coming from Krishna. Supplied to us by Krishna. Yeah.
People can ask me this, but I wanted to ask you what to say. They're saying, because Krishna doesn't take factory foods, right? But
doesn't take
factory foods, but he's very simple in his request: a leaf, flour, fruit, water. So then the question is, do you get that ice cream from the shop made in some horrible factory and then offer it anyway? Or that's wrong to offer it, so you should just...
Everyone's going to have their different particular standards. The general principle is whatever you eat, yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat avoshi, dadashi, yat. Okay, whatever you're eating, think of where it's coming from. Offer it to Krishna. Highest standards in the temple, but it's not expected that everyone's going to follow that at home. So some devotees will make ice cream. Some devotees will buy ice cream. Whatever they do, they will offer it to Krishna.
Okay.
So it's up to you. You can go. I mean, how high you want to live by the highest standards possible. It's great, but it might be challenging. It doesn't mean you don't offer it.
Okay.
Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi. Everything you eat, you should offer to Krishna first.
Thank you.
So devotees have different standards. You see. Yeah, of course, we all agree, we're all vegetarians, okay? No, we don't compromise on that, But some devotees, yeah. Anyone online? Everyone's okay online? You can hear us, you can see us. You're still there. Hare Krishna, we have 13 devotees online. We have
Sorry,
more
just
online. Hare Krishna.
just an observation, Murli Prabhu.
Please, yes.
So I went for a birthday lunch with my father and other members of the family yesterday. And when the menu was brought round, my mum said, I'm allergic to garlic. And the chef came out and said, well, basically everything's got garlic in it, because
Really?
all the ingredients that we use have got garlic in it. So I think I've always found this difficulty of what I can and cannot offer as prasadam. So if I'm...
What did you do? What did you do? We want to know what you did.
I gave thanks in my mind. I didn't say anything out loud. I gave thanks, but I didn't feel that I was able to offer it in the sense that I would do if I'd made something myself. So although I gave my gratitude, I fell short of what I would normally do if I was offering something as prasadam that I considered to be offerable, because I knew it was appropriate food to be offered. So in those situations, I give thanks, I give gratitude, and I don't know in these circumstances what would be the correct procedure to follow, to be honest.
Krishna is a person, okay? Krishna is a very loving person. Krishna knows the situation. He was probably very happy with your attitude. Yeah, it's not the best, okay, you're eating garlic, but considering the situation, I mean, what would have happened if you had said, okay, I'm out of here. You know, what would that impression would that have left the family with? And disturbance. Okay, I'm not eating anything. Would have spoiled the whole family meal. You know. So yeah, so well, if I could say, or boldly say, don't worry. Krishna knows your specific situation. Sometimes you're in a compromised situation. What you can do, long as you don't go beyond. If it's a non-vegetarian, that's where you draw the line. You know, if your parents take you to a restaurant and there's only meat and fish, you get up, walk out. You draw the line, and they should, and your family should know that point. So I have to draw the line here. I'm gonna go to Tesco's and get a couple of apples, and I'll come back and I'll yeah. So we do have to live. We have to have some line that we don't go below. But so especially when you're with family, you've got family. Do you go home for your mum and do you cook your mum's cooking? I mean, do you eat your mum's cooking?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's often garlic and onion and things as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So you can, sometimes it might be that you can have a conversation with your mum.
But sometimes meat on the table as well.
But
because I want to offer, I kind of separate the food on the table.
so
Meat on one side and this stuff on the other.
yeah. But like you don't take it. You make the yeah. Yeah, so sometimes you got to be human now.
Juice and salad in a restaurant.
Huh?
Now juice and salad.
Yeah, juice and salad. Yeah. Yeah, when I was going to, my mother was in her last days, in the last weeks, the last months, she had cancer. And I went to go and see her. She was really excited that she made me a cake. You know, and she already knew, I told her the principles years ago that I live by no eggs, things like that. And I was eating the cake. I could taste eggs in it, you know. And she asked me, "Oh, I forgot about the eggs," she said. But I kept on eating it. I ate it because it was she was the last days of her life, you know. She made a special thing. If I'd have said no, I'm eating that, you know. So sometimes you're going to be in situations where, you know, but main thing is overall, like wonderful example Prabhuji gave there, you know. In a family situation, there's garlic in everything. What type of restaurant is that? They put garlic in everything. I guess they do. Chinese, but in your culture, yeah. On planes, what do you eat on planes? You know, pack lunch, pack lunch on plane.
Nothing.
Nothing. There's nothing. Nuts, fruits. Jane Mills, something about you take Jane Mills. So everyone's got to do. Main thing, be overall conscious of Krishna. You know, living a life of gratitude that the Lord's supplying everything. You know, much we want to offer everything to Krishna before we eat it. Yeah. Okay. Text 14. Let's read the verse together. Anatpavanti putani bhajanyat anasambhavaha yagnat bhavati bhajanyo yagnakamasabhutbhavaha. Together, all living beings subsist on food grains are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagna. Yagna is performed of prescribed duties. Okay. Someone could read this from the purple? Yeah.
Human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. When the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on production of food factories.
Okay. Prabhupada is part of one of his mission statements, one of his missions in life, his mission in Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Here is a self-study question.
Please, thank you. Yeah, go
on. In English, what is the meaning of Anad Bhavanti Bhutani?
Okay, so we got it, huh? And the word to word? I don't have Gita. What's the word to word?
From grains grow the material bodies.
Yeah, Anat Bhavanti Bhutani. Yeah, so Bhutani is mean living beings, yeah? Anat is grains. So you got that? Self-study question? Text 14. Anat Bhavanti Bhutani. Is that what is, that's the question? Those three words in the first line?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Krishna is kind of warns Arjuna that even in the forest, all food is nurtured by rain coming from the demigods. Yeah. So we can't, if there's no rain, then we can't eat. So in other words, he can't perform his obligation for sacrifice, born of his specific duty. Yeah. Okay, 15. Together again. Kama bhavo bhavam vidhi brahma makshkara samudbhavam tasmat savakatam brahma nityam yagne pratishtitam. Translation: regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifest from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the yoga-vedic transcendence is only situated in sacrifice. Yeah, this is quite a profound verse, actually. Yeah, the Lord is situated within those acts of yagna. So therefore, that's the purifying potency of acts of yagna, that is actually the Lord is situated there. So in other words, he is non-different from the act of sacrifice. Yeah. So those who follow the Vedas, they generally understand that Vishnu is above the demigods, because he's the one who empowers the demigods. Yeah. So in other words, Indra gets his power from Krishna. Yeah. So this will gradually lead to a appreciation of Krishna. This is the idea. It's the gradual following the Varnashram system, then gradually one gets to appreciate Krishna. Then you just worship Krishna. Everything is taken care of. Yeah.
It's just an example that came to mind of Krishna was arguing his father, and the Maharaj, on the basis that he doesn't have to worship Lord Indra for rain.
Yeah.
Prescribed duties alone are enough, and Krishna even takes the rain.
Yeah. That's karma mamsa. Yeah. Where just the act itself, by saying the mantras in the right way, it has its effect on the universal system, and you get a certain result. So whether God's in the picture or not, that's their idea. So by doing sacrifice, but no, ultimately the rains all empowered by Krishna. But yeah, that's nice. Krishna speaks that philosophy. Yeah, calming the mamsa. Okay.
I'm just saying that part that you're speaking an incorrect philosophy. It's not bona fide.
Say again?
It's not a bona fide philosophy, though.
No.
Yeah.
You can elaborate more. Microphone.
It's not.
Yeah. Because it's not, because ultimately demigods are dependent on.
Yeah, I just remember Srila Prabhupada writing that ultimately, we are dependent on the demigods and their mercy due to our sacrifice. And so the karma philosophy that Krishna was presenting wasn't actually correct. It was just sort of a pastime that he was relating that to his father.
Yeah. That's right. In the Karma Mimamsa philosophy, they take very seriously the chanting of mantras and the correct pronunciation of mantras and prescribed duty. It's like pronouncing a spell that has an effect on the universe. Then you get the result. Yeah. But ultimately, the 5 factors of action, which is described later in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the main one. Yeah, for factors for things to be powered and things to happen, then Krishna is the sanctioner. Yeah. Okay, so
Also,
microphone.
no, so when he was talking about it, he was not referring to this one, he was referring to this other commandments. Now it's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, 16.
Reciprocal, right? The demigods are depending on us for the sacrifices, and we're dependent on them for the rain.
Yeah. I think there's a verse that comes up now. I think. Yeah. It is reciprocal. But again, this is karma kanda. Okay. Yeah, he's just describing. He's going from karma kanda. He's going to bring him to karma yoga. Yeah. So karma kanda is about worshiping of demigods, doing like that and getting results. So then let's read this one, 16. Evam bhavatitam chakram nanuvada tataya agayo indriyo ramo mokam pata sachivati. Together, my dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person is living in vain. So is it what? Yeah. So this is vikarma. Yeah. So for those who do not follow this at all, they will be entangled in reaction, karmic reaction. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a cycle here. So by worshipping the Lord, following the Vedas, engaging in sacrifice, comes rain, food, production of living entities, like here. Let's think there's the next verse here. See here, the next slide. We're following the Vedas, we're following prescribed duties. Again, we're reminded that Krishna's present there, and that prescribed duties engage sacrifice, yajna, that produce rains, food, supplies living entities, and they worship the Lord. Right. So I have a question here. Generally, we're living in a secular society, you could say. Generally, I think it could say atheistic principles. Going to church is not, well, there's many Christians and many Muslims still. But why does everything seem to be supplied here in the West, where persons are not engaged in yajna? I mean, who's engaged in yajna? Well, you walk in the supermarket, everything's supplied. It rains, the plants are growing. Why is it all happening?
Previous price activities.
Huh?
Previous price
activities. So he's saying it's not going to last long.
Yajna is going on by certain personalities in other places, like in the Himalayas, etc., etc.
And the Himalayas on Oxford Street, book distribution.
Yeah.
The ultimate yajna still going on. It's going on. So yeah, Jai Krishna mentioned it. But yeah, okay, it's what we might be going on previous when persons were more religiously inclined. We might still be living off the fruits of that. Yeah. At some point it might slow down, the supply might be decreased. Yeah, we have to face difficulties. Then Ian's mentioning, we didn't mention that sacrifices is going on. So perhaps the reason why, because there's Vaishnavas present, so Vaishnavas need to eat, they need a place to be, so therefore the Lord's supplying it, because there's Vaishnavas who are moving within that society. So therefore, I don't know the answer exactly. I'm just sorry, I'm asking. I have to think about it. How is it things are still being supplied in abundance, in one sense? But one thing that's not in abundance, that's happiness. You know? Contentment, peace, happiness. That's not in abundance. That's in scarcity. So you may have all the material facilities, but unless there's a sense of God consciousness there, you won't be happy. And that's what Arjuna said. Remember in the second chapter? So what will it come in if we also, if I get all, if I win and then how can I enjoy this kingdom? You know, when I've done such a simple thing, then I won't be able to enjoy it. You know? Yeah, Sunday.
And there is
Microphone. I'm gonna be tonight. I'll be dreaming. Microphone.
so there's still kind of yagas being done. The point of worship is now money nowadays.
Yeah.
So we get the results and benefits of worshiping money in terms of foods and productivity and grains and meat from other countries coming here. We get the benefit of the material development we have, but then the food that we're eating isn't prepared in the best consciousness, it's mass production.
Yeah.
The meat we're eating, we're getting meat as well. Contaminating our consciousness.
So becoming contaminated. So it's becoming.
So it's actually contaminated consuming because the yagas are doing.
Yeah. So the saying is saying. So it seems like everything is okay, but actually we're becoming more compromised in reactions and entanglement in the material world. Yeah, it seems externally because, for instance, the type of foods that people are eating. You know. Microphone.
Oh. One point that I was thinking about is the subject in heavenly planets.
Yeah.
You get demons where they don't worship the demigods, but their material prosperity, they very advanced technology, very advanced civilization. It's a degraded place. Simple activities just taking place.
Yeah, so you could say, you understand, in the subterranean heavenly planets, that means down below, that way. There's persons who are godless, atheistic, but they have fantastic material arrangement. But it doesn't last. They get killed, isn't it? They all get killed by the Sudan chakra. Yeah. But why did you bring that up?
Because it's similar to how you were saying that, how is it still going on? By sort of material intelligence, by material schemes, bonding nature, we can still sort of enjoy it.
It's not real. It doesn't bring real. Yeah, it's just you're enjoying the objects of the senses, Yeah.
We were just saying that. Sorry, is it okay to have a comment?
Go on, please. Yeah.
We were just saying that the apparent abundance is a bit of an illusion agriculturally, because there's so much use of pesticides and poor farming that the soil quality is so degraded that it can't last for much longer on one level, and also the fruit of what's being harvested is at such low nutritional quality. So it seems like it's like we still got a lot, but actually in comparison to what we had previously in more sustainable agricultural systems, it's very poor. It's very poor.
Well, yeah, that's a very wonderful point. So I think you've answered my curiosity very nicely. Yeah. In other words, it ain't what it seems. And it ain't gonna last, Yeah. But still, there are some, anyone who goes to church, that's yajna. Anyone who goes to the mosque and they bow down, that's yajna. There's millions of Muslims, there's millions of Christians, Jewish people. So something's going on. Otherwise, I'm sure it would be. And the main thing is the Sankirtan yajna is going on in every country on the planet, isn't it? More or less. North Korea, for sure.
Could I ask a quick question?
Please, yes.
I don't know if it's getting too complicated into this issue, but I was just wondering, it seems to me like the countries in the world that suffer the worst with things like scarcity, on different levels with food and other things, are the poorer countries, even though in those countries often people are more pious or religious, whereas in Western countries, where people are becoming less religious, we have this I guess because we have a world monopoly, we have seemingly more abundance. But I was just wondering if you had a reflection on how that, you know, why that is. You know, we have less religiosity in our society, but we seem to be doing better off, kind of thing.
Yeah, but again, it's things can change. For instance, and if you look in history, there's been many empires, many civilizations which have been very, very advanced from a lot of levels, like the Roman Empire, for instance. Indestructible, you could say, from one point, but then it fell to pieces and collapsed, you know? And it's very complicated as well. Like you got, just fish on it, you got, yeah, persons in third world countries, you know, they're suffering, they're in want and they're in need. But generally you're going to find, okay, we could say two ways you could look at this. One, we could say that their situation, the cause of it, is we're going to look to the West in a lot of ways for its imbalance. You know, its imbalance, catering to people's greed and its effect on the ecological system worldwide, which affects people in those places. Then from another perspective, you can say to be born in that situation, in an environment of want, in an environment of difficulty, we understand that there's some karma involved there. So that's another way to look at it as well, you know.
Prabhu, I bought a book for my father's birthday called Earth Transformed, which was illustrating how throughout history civilizations have been assisted and toppled by nature. You know, that this is an unwritten element of history that people don't take into account, how nature influences the growth and downfall of civilizations. So our civilization, in inverted commas, may be doing very well at this moment in time, but who's to know in 200 years' time, it might be crippled.
Yeah. Unless we follow this, unless we follow the prescription that's given here, you know, then everything will be supplied in abundance. Yeah.
So you can do away with the whole climate change movement, start Maya COP26, and just follow this.
Yeah. If everyone in Houses of Parliament chanted 16 rounds and I did kirtan before the big meetings, that's up to us to make that happen, okay? It's the only way we can save the world in its most precarious situation. All right, let's go on a bit. What's the time? E1:11. You doing okay? Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's read together this one. Yastu atma radhi eva syat atma triptashta manavaha atmani eva shantustas tasya kayam navidyate. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, who is satisfied in the self only, fully satisfied, for him there is no duty. Okay, so this is going up now. So sounds atmarati. So that means one who takes pleasure in the self. So that means they're not really concerned about loss or gain. Yeah. Because they're content, say we can say as devotees, they're content from their activities of bhakti. So naturally, being in the material world, there's going to be loss, there's going to be gain. But one's main sustenance. Oh, wait, please. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Is it me? Should press mute or you? Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, You can't find your mouse.
Muted it, but it's not.
And my time is such a-
Hare Krishna.
Somebody else was.
Perhaps ask devotees who are online to mute. Don't know if that might be the issue. If everyone online could mute if you're not speaking. We've got some echo here. I mean, just hearing one of me is enough. We don't want to hear two of me. Hare Krishna. Oh. God, okay, yeah.
I was still in the ship.
Yeah.
Muted the computer, it's
Huh?
yeah, muted this computer, it sounds so
Delay.
Might have been someone else.
All right, anyway, okay now. Okay, so such a person here, such a person not concerned with loss or gain. And it's also not disturbed by obstacles because Atmarati, he gets satisfaction from within. Atmarati. He's chanting good rounds that day, so no matter what's get thrown at him or her, happy. Here's something from Prabhupada's purple. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna conscious no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed. An effect of many, many thousands of yajna performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duties thus become self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna-conscious person is no longer interested in immaterial activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. Okay? But the next verse describes whether a person should work then. What should they do? If they're getting they're getting their admiratis, they're not bound. Let's read the next verse. 18. 18 and 19. Let's read text 18 together. Nevatasya ato niskritnena kaschanaha tachashashava bodeshu kaskid atavabhashraya. Translation: a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he need to depend on any living being. Yeah. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter. Yeah. A self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, except duties in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is not inactivity. This will be explained in the next verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man or demigod, or whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in discharging his obligation. Text 19. Tasmat shakta satatam kayam kama samacharaha ashakto himcharim kama paramabnoti purusha. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, while working about the attachment one attains the Supreme. So hopefully things are becoming clear for Arjuna now, isn't it? Which let's see here.
Why wouldn't somebody do that for? Is the reason lack of faith?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay, more verse to read. 20 together. Kamane vahi samsiddhim ashtita janakadaya lokashangraha mevavi sambhasyam katamahasi. So it gives an example now. Kings such as Janak attain perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating people in general, you should perform your work. Right, so that's another reason for Arjuna to fight, even though theoretically one may be Atmarati, he should still engage in duty. Yeah, why? To set the right example. I think next, yat acharya sheshtas, that verse is coming up. Yeah, so someone will still act in such a way to teach those who are still attached, who are still engaged in prescribed duties, yeah, to teach people in general. And he gives example Janak. The father of Janak, remind me, is the father of Lord Ram? Sita Devi. Okay, yeah. So it seems like he was very executed his dharmic duties very perfectly, very nicely, and attained perfection through that. Yeah. In the first part, here it gives example of persons who perfected the path by performing action. The second, he says, even if you think you're qualified for Gyan, then you should perform action in order to teach the people. You mentioned that. If you think you're qualified, well, actually, you are Arjuna. You're a great person. So you should do your duty and fight, even if you think you're qualified for meditative Gyan. So you can't get out of it. No? Krishna's very expert. You know, God. Yeah. 21. And here's the verse. This thing, yat together. Yat acharaji shashtas tat evato janaha sayapamanam kurute lokastagumavadate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. Whatever he standards, he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Yeah. So it would be a bad thing, a bad move if Arjuna left the battlefield. Yeah, it might give precedence, yeah, to persons to follow. Yeah.
Exodus.
Yeah, and that will cause a breakdown. That's mentioned later. Even if he mentions the same point in 2 verses. Even if you can do someone else's duty very nicely, you should not do it. To follow is another path, because to follow another's path is dangerous. Interesting concept. Even if you can follow a path and do it better, because it's not your path, you should not do it. Because if people, again, back to this point, if people start being irresponsible, and not following Sastra, not following their prescribed duties, then it just leads to chaos and confusion. Yeah. So here's someone. Okay, we'll just go on from here. We're going to carry a few. So 22. Name pasati katavyam trishulogeshu kinchanaha nanavadamavatyavyam yata evata kamani. Also the Prita, there is no work prescribed me within all the 3 work systems, nor I want of anything, nor have I obtained anything. Yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. Right? So Krishna is now giving himself as an example. The next verse he describes, if I failed to engage in perform prescribed duties, certainly men would follow my path. All right. Any questions about this? Krishna is saying, if I failed to engage in perform prescribed duties, certainly men would follow my path. Okay, I'm asking because usually a question comes up here. Might do. One might argue that some of Krishna's actions on the battlefield and his behavior in Vrindavan with the gopis do not conform to the recommended sastric path. Okay. That is true. Although Krishna generally does not transgress scriptural injunctions, he occasionally does so to please his devotees and to exhibit his supreme independent position. If therefore a discrepancy exists between Krishna's words and his actions, his words should be followed. So follow his shiksha. Yeah, follow his direction. Don't imitate his leela. He is God, okay? Don't try and imitate him. Do what he's telling you to do. Yeah. His words should be followed. No one should imitate Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, and act in opposition. And I can't see the rest yet. I think here is given an example, just like the position of great controllers is never compromised, even if there's some audacious transgression of morality that we may see in them, because they're powerful like the sun. They can purify, the sun can purify water even in a contaminated place. So, for example, given Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva drank the ocean of poison. We cannot imitate. I think Prabhupada gives the example, those who spoke dope or marijuana in so-called imitation of Lord Shiva, they will become degraded. Yeah. All right. Okay, text 24. Together, Ushitaya ime loke nakoyam kama chettaham shankarasya katam sham upahanyami mabhaja. So he's continuing this vein. What would happen if he didn't perform prescribed duties? The world would be put into ruination. Again, he would be cause unwanted population, which is called, discussed, mentioned before, Vana Shankara. Yeah. So Krishna set the example. So if there's anyone who does not, if there's anyone who's not obliged to do duty, it's God. But he does it to set the example. So he's asking Arjuna should do the same. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's read this. 25. Shakti kamani vidvamso yata govanti bharata kuyat vidam yata shaktistikesho lokasangraham. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similar act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Yeah. And this next verse is very interesting. Buddhi bedam chanayat. So there may be a situation where you, so not to disrupt so those who are attached, then don't tell them to stop doing their activities, but somehow or another engage them in the activities of bhakti. Let's just read the translation. Translation to 26. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, the learned person should not reduce them to stop work. Rather, by working the spirit of devotion, he should engage in all types of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Okay? This way, the devotee is very expert in gradually, engaging them in acts of bhakti, even if they're not fully aware of it. Engage them. That one time, there's one Mayavadi went to meet with Srila Prabhupada. They didn't know he was a Mayavadi until he started speaking. And so obviously when he started speaking to Prabhupada, he was a Mayavadi, and he had this philosophy printed on all bits of paper, and he wanted to give it out to the devotees. He was proud of his philosophy, and Prabhupada was quite gracious with him actually. And then he left these bits of paper, with all this philosophy on it. So then Prabhupada had the devotees sit down. You think you know what's coming, yeah? And he gave out all these bits of paper. And then what did he do next? Serve prasad on top. So they know he took prasad. So it's good to keep this in mind in our outreach and our preaching. You're not going to chastise someone or tell them to stop doing what they're doing. We just engage them in acts of bhakti. That's the principle of 108. No, 108. We don't. Okay, everyone, welcome to this place 108. All of you should stop going to the pub. Oh, all of you, girls and boys, keep away from each other. Okay, all the men over this side, all the women over that side, no. Give them a shadam, kirtan. Develop natural friendship with them, and as they become curious, you introduce them to different principles, engage them in acts of bhakti by which they can get purified. Give them prasad, don't disrupt them, don't disturb. Okay, we've got 2 minutes. Who's up for an extension for half an hour? I'm not. So let's stop here, okay? Let's stop here and we'll pick it up. I don't know how I think I have to figure out how. They're supposed to finish his 3 chapters a day, but it's not possible. Anyway, that's my problem, how I'm going to manage the teaching and get through the chapters and the verses. But thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone online, for joining us. You had more devotees online today than here. I think that was due to that message I sent out, because we got active next door. So don't forget, next week we have no class. Hope to see you at Snan Yatra at Bhakti. Hope we've got that day right, the 7th next week. Yeah, I can double confirm that with a message on WhatsApp. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ki jai. All the
Jai,
prayer.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.